In your experience counseling women, frequently women who are dealing with something in their marriage, sometimes the marriage is that you're helping a woman with the marriage is a train wreck of a marriage. It's a big problem. What have you found the central thing that a woman in a tragic situation or a very, very difficult situation, what's the central thing that you find yourself urging a woman in that circumstance to remember?
Well, there are obviously a lot of things. The really tough ones I send to your office.
That explains.
But generally there are a few things, and each one is so different, as you know. But I would say when there's not grounds for divorce and there's not grounds to go to the elders right now or call the cops, and we're not talking about those sorts of
Right.
exceptional things, but when we're just talking about major difficulties, the thing I emphasize, which is easy to say and very hard to do, is the 1 Peter 3, winning without a word.
Right.
And how to do that would be when he is being unkind and picking on you and ungrateful and ugly to you, you respond sweetly.
Right.
And that is very tough to do, and our flesh does not want to go there. So it takes grace and commitment and faith and courage to step out and do that. But I'll tell them, if you respond in kind and just let him have it, it's like hitting him on the head with a shovel. Just go for it. He hit you, we'll just hit him back. So that's carnal, and that doesn't result in anything helpful. But there's another way to hit him over the head.
Right.
And that's when God has, not that God really uses a shovel, but to say, the way to really get to this man is for me to be sweet and make him his favorite dinner.
Right.
Which is not what the flesh wants to do. I mean, this is
right.
not carnal reasoning at all. It's upside down. So to say, well, when he speaks to you that way, you return with a smile or a kind word, and then go whip up his favorite dessert for him, but don't respond in kind. And actually, you'll see more results that way, far more results than when you just let him have it.
Okay. And Peter talks about winning. If a man is not obeying the word, you're winning him without a word.
Right, right.
So you're dealing there with a man who can be won, who's on whom this tactic will work.
Right.
Let's go back to the thing you alluded to at the beginning, because I think it's important to note, because I think sometimes women have heard the counsel you just gave, and then they absolutize it, and they think that it's never appropriate to tell the pastor or the elders, or never appropriate to call the cops. Could you say a few things about that when things
Certainly.
are so deranged that you need to call for help?
Well, a husband's authority is not absolute, of course. So if he has struck his wife, I think it's certainly at the minimum time to call the pastor and maybe the cops.
Right.
It depends on the situation. I have told women before to have a plan, an escape plan,
Right.
just in case something, not that it has already happened, but if it might, I want her to have a plan.
Right.
So she,
Place to go,
a place to
person to
go,
call.
a person to call. She's got gas in the car, whatever is needed, but to have a friend, someone who is available to help. But if it's happened in the past and there's a record of it, I would say, first of all, you need to talk to your pastor. You need pastoral counseling. Your husband needs accountability, which is why it's so wise to be members of a church where there is authority that she can appeal to.
Right.
Then sometimes it's helpful for, just to be reminded of Abigail. She knew when it was time to call her husband a fool.
Right.
And it's not disrespectful to do that in all circumstances.
When everybody knows it already.
Yeah, they already know it. So she wasn't disrespecting her husband. I think she was actually treating him with respect in a sense, because she was not allowing him to destroy the family and everything else with it.
Right. So let's say a woman knows that trouble is significant trouble may be headed her way, and she's got a place to go, and the car is gassed up and that sort of thing. what would you say to a well-meaning Christian friend of hers who absolutizes submissiveness and absolutizes, well, you need to be cook him his favorite dessert even if he might, kill you and the kids. How would you, and the well-meaning friend doesn't approve of what the husband's doing at all. Is not backing
Right.
him up and saying yes, of course this is terrible, but shouldn't you just turn the other cheek forever and ever, no matter what the circumstances?
Okay. Well, it's always helpful if this woman has had a record of being kind in return.
Right.
She has a history. She's been long suffering, and he's just getting worse and worse.
Right.
And if she has a flare up where she's saying, "Please forgive me, that was unkind when I reacted that way," so she has a history of being submissive and respectful. Then when he is crossing a line, he's saying, "Here, sign these taxes where I'm lying to the government," and she says, "No, I cannot do that."
Right.
Or he's saying, "Here, do some drugs with me," and she's like, "No, I have a higher authority."
Right.
Or he's saying whatever other things it might be
Right.
that he is wanting her to do, where she can say, "No, absolutely not." And then, of course, if there's any sort of threat to her or the children,
Right.
I'd say hopefully by that point she's got some counsel from someone other than just be submissive to the end. It's like, no, you need some outside help. Get in the car, take the kids, go see your parents, somebody.
In other words, she should have been living as such a submissive wife that when the point where she must not submit comes, she can not submit with her head up.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that she's not a doormat.
Right.
Submissiveness does not mean the doormat thing.
Right.
Like people like to characterize it. So no, I think better safe than sorry. And when in doubt, pull out and go. And if you pulled the trigger too soon, maybe that's a wrong metaphor to use. But if you packed up a little too soon, well, that's better than too late.
Good. Thank you.